And now let's have a look how mean, mode, and median can be calculated for grouped data. So on this slide, you can see an example of such data. And this is grades in statistics. So we've got 4 groups. In the first group, we've got the grades from 10 till 34, and we know the number of students or the frequency. So the number of students who got the grade from 10 till 34 is 5. The second group is for the grade between 35 and 55, and we know that 10 students got the grade within this interval. The third group is for the grades between 56 and 74, and we know that 6 students got the grade within this interval, and the last group is for the students who have the grade between 75 and 100, and there are 4 students like that. To calculate something called cumulative frequency, we do the following. So for the first group, it is always equal to the number of observations or the number of frequency within this group, which is 5. And then to get the cumulative frequency for the second group, we take the previous cumulative frequency, so in this case 5, and add it to the number of students or the frequency in the second group. So 5 plus 10 is 15. To get the cumulative frequency in the third class, we take the cumulative frequency from the previous class, which will be 15, and we add the observations from the third class, so 15 plus 6 is 21. And then to get the cumulative frequency for the last group, we take the cumulative frequency from the previous class, so 21, and we add the observations from the last class, so 21 plus 4 is 25. After we've calculated cumulative frequency, we can move to calculating the midpoint. And to calculate the midpoint, you can use this note below, which says that the midpoint is calculated by summing the upper and the lower boundaries and dividing this sum by 2. So for example, in case of the first class, the lower boundary is 10, the upper boundary is 34. So 10 plus 34 divided by 2 is 22. So the midpoint in the first class is 22. And we do the same for the second class. 35 plus 55 divided by 2, this will give us 45. 56 plus 74 divided by 2, this is 65. 75 plus 100 is 87.5. And then we can calculate one more thing, where, as you can see, midpoint, so the values from this column, is multiplied by ni, so the frequency of each class, of each group. So for example, for the first class, this will be 22 multiplied by 5, so we get 110. In case of the second group, this will be 45 multiplied by 10, so 450. 65 multiplied by 6, which gives us 390, and 87.5 multiplied by 4 is 350. So I strongly recommend you to construct the same table in case you're dealing with grouped data. And now you will see why this table can become very useful. So for example, to calculate the mean for group data, we need to use the following formula, where we sum the product of the midpoint and each group's frequency. So in other words, what we sum here is the values from the last column. And then we divide it by n, which is the total number of observations. So in our case, this will be the total number of students. And the total number of students or the total number of observations is always equal to the cumulative frequency from the last group. So in our case, the total number of students is 25. So we sum the product of the midpoint and the individual frequency, 110 plus 450, and so on and so forth, and we divide it by 25, the total number of observations, so the total number of students, and we get that the average grade or the mean grade in this group of students is 52.